Dating can feel like emotional roulette. One moment you're excited, the next you're spiraling over a text that never came. You overthink what you said, how you looked, whether you seemed too interested or not interested enough. That tension in your chest, that second guessing of your every move, that's dating anxiety. And it steals your peace faster than any bad date ever could. But here's the truth. The goal isn't to eliminate all fear. It's to ground yourself in a mindset that keeps you centered no matter who walks in or out of your life. Sometimes the most powerful shifts come from the simplest phrases. Just 3 words can snap you back to your strength, your value, and your calm. These aren't magic, but they are anchors. And once you make them part of how you date, everything changes. I am enough is more than just a feel-good affirmation. It's the root of emotional peace in the dating world. So many people walk into romantic situations carrying a silent belief that they need to earn love. They try to be charming enough, witty enough, attractive enough, mysterious enough, and all that performance creates anxiety because it's not sustainable. It's like walking a tightrope, afraid that one wrong step, one awkward pause, one message left on read, one moment of vulnerability will make the other person disappear. But when you ground yourself in the belief that you are already enough, the game changes entirely. You don't enter a date like it's an audition. You're not trying to convince someone to choose you. You're allowing them to see who you are while you observe whether they're right for your life. That's a powerful shift, because instead of trying to become what you think they want, you show up as your full, unfiltered self. And ironically, that's what people find most attractive. That kind of presence, where you're not constantly assessing how you're being perceived, creates calm. It creates confidence when you're not on high alert trying to monitor every micro reaction. You become more magnetic because you're relaxed. You're not playing a role. You're not begging for connection. You're being real, and that realness is rare. People can feel when you're grounded. They can sense that you're not performing for their approval, and that alone is captivating. This mindset also makes it easier to handle rejection or ambiguity. If someone pulls away, it doesn't destroy you because your worth was never tied to their attention in the first place. You don't spiral into overthinking. You don't need to decode every text or try to fix something you said. You remind yourself, I am enough. If this isn't clicking, it doesn't mean I'm not worthy. It just means we're not the right match. That kind of resilience only comes when your self-worth isn't up for negotiation every time someone new enters your life. Dating gets so much easier when your sense of value doesn't depend on how well a conversation goes or whether someone sees a future with you. It doesn't mean you don't care about the outcome. It means you care more about staying true to yourself than trying to control the narrative. You stop molding your personality to avoid abandonment. You stop settling for crumbs just to keep someone around. And you stop mistaking attention for affection. When you believe you are enough, you naturally develop higher standards. Not because you're rigid, but because you know you don't have to beg for what you deserve. Think about how you show up when you really believe this. You stop trying to fast forward the connection. You're patient, you're discerning, you're not afraid to express interest, and you're not afraid to walk away. You don't lose yourself in someone else's potential. You trust that you'll be okay whether it works out or not. That belief gives you freedom. The freedom to explore without fear, to connect without pressure, and to walk away without regret. And that's where dating actually becomes enjoyable. Not when you finally find the perfect person, but when you finally realize you don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be present, and you just need to be you. I choose him is a phrase that completely flips the traditional dynamic we often fall into during dating. So many people enter a romantic interaction from a place of seeking approval. They hope to be liked. They try to be picked. They analyze every detail of the conversation, every look, every pause, wondering, does he like me? Did I say the right thing? Did I come off as too much or not enough? This mindset is exhausting because it puts your power in someone else's hands. It creates a dynamic where your self-worth becomes a mirror reflecting someone else's level of interest. But when you shift into I choose him, the energy becomes completely different. Suddenly it's not about whether he likes you, it's about whether you even like him. It's not about being impressive, it's about being intentional. Choosing him means you're no longer passively waiting to be selected. You're evaluating. You're not watching his actions to mold yourself into what he wants. You're watching his actions to decide if they align with what you want. That one shift, from hoping he chooses you to being the one who chooses, removes the desperation from the equation. It replaces anxiety with curiosity. You're no longer afraid to lose something because you're not convinced it's something you even want yet. You take back the position of authority in your own life. You become the one with standards, the one who doesn't settle for surface-level charm or the illusion of potential. You want consistency, kindness, follow-through, and mutual effort. You're not impressed by attention alone. You're interested in depth, alignment, and compatibility. When you walk into dating with this mindset, you stop putting red flags on layaway. You don't gloss over warning signs because you're afraid of rocking the boat. You don't explain away inconsistency because you're hoping it will get better once he really gets to know you. You notice how he communicates. You pay attention to how he makes you feel, not just in the highs, but in the in-betweens. Choosing someone means giving your attention mindfully, not emotionally, handing it over to the first person who shows interest. And that discernment is not only empowering, it's incredibly attractive. People can sense when you know your value. They can feel when you're not there just to win their affection, but to see if there's a real fit. Choosing him also quiets that inner voice of doubt. When you're trying to be chosen, every little thing becomes a performance. Every silence is a threat. Every unanswered text sends you spiraling. But when you are doing the choosing, you're not rattled by every fluctuation in someone's behavior. You're observing. You're collecting data. And if something doesn't sit right, you're not afraid to walk away. You trust your judgment. You know that just because someone shows up doesn't mean they deserve a spot in your life. You're not here to prove yourself. You're here to protect your peace. That mindset doesn't make you cold or distant. It makes you conscious. It means you've stopped dating like someone trying to get picked for a team and started dating like someone who already knows they're the MVP. You're not afraid to say, no, this doesn't work for me, because you know what you bring to the table. You know your energy, your loyalty, your care, your time. They're not things you just give away freely. They're earned. And if someone doesn't show up in a way that aligns with what you value, you don't make excuses for them. You move on, because you're not waiting for someone to make you feel chosen. You're too busy choosing someone who actually deserves you. Let it unfold is a permission slip to exhale. In dating, the urge to control outcomes is often rooted in fear. Fear of wasting time, fear of getting hurt, fear of being strung along or misled. So you try to get ahead of it. You analyze every message. You look for clues in his tone. You rehearse your responses. You start constructing a future after 3 conversations, imagining where things could go, whether he's serious, whether this might finally be it. And in doing so, you leave the present entirely. You put pressure on something that hasn't even had a chance to breathe. That pressure doesn't just weigh on you, it suffocates the connection before it has space to develop naturally. Letting it unfold doesn't mean you don't care or that you date passively. It means you release the need to predict, control, and pre-package the experience. It means you stay in the moment, paying attention to what is, not what you hope it becomes. Because no matter how much you plan, fantasize, or strategize, the truth is that the right person can't be forced, and the wrong person can't be fixed. You don't need to fast-track a title or define the relationship after 2 dates. You just need to show up with curiosity and pay attention to how things feel, not just how they look on paper or how badly you want them to work out. When you live in this mindset, you allow yourself to discover someone, not just decide what they are before they've even shown you. You notice how they treat people. You observe their consistency. You look at how you feel when you're with them, not how they say you should feel. Let it unfold is about getting grounded in reality, not the story in your head, but the truth in front of you. Are they showing up? Are they clear in their communication? Do their actions make you feel safe, valued, and seen? These are things that reveal themselves over time, not in the first hour, the first date, or the first week. The people who rush the connection are usually the ones most afraid of being disappointed. But that urgency often leads to fantasy, not clarity. You can't skip steps and expect to land somewhere solid. Letting it unfold means being okay with ambiguity for a while. It means allowing space for mutual discovery. It's not just about whether he likes you, but whether you like him over time. Not who he could be, but who he consistently is. That space is where the truth lives. And sometimes, when you let things unfold without rushing, you realize it's not what you want after all. And that's a gift too. This mindset brings calm because it centers you back in what you can control: your presence, your standards, your boundaries. It allows you to show up genuinely without trying to play a part or speed up a process that has its own natural rhythm. It keeps you from future tripping and losing yourself in the what-ifs. You stop chasing certainty and start trusting the process. Because if it's right, it won't need to be forced. It'll evolve with mutual effort, ease, and clarity. And if it doesn't, you're not left shattered because you were never clinging to a fantasy. You were staying present in what was real. Letting it unfold protects your peace. It creates space for something authentic to grow or for the wrong thing to reveal itself quickly, saving you time, energy, and heartache. My time matters is a powerful declaration that fundamentally reshapes how you approach dating and relationships. So often, anxiety builds up because we allow ourselves to be at the mercy of someone else's inconsistent behavior or mixed signals. We wait hours, sometimes days, for a text reply, convincing ourselves that the delay isn't a big deal. We rearrange our schedules on a whim to fit someone else's availability, even when it leaves us feeling depleted or undervalued. This happens because we haven't fully internalized the fact that our time, our most finite and precious resource, is worth protecting. When you begin to truly believe that your time matters, your entire perspective shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer willing to accept breadcrumbs or tolerate being treated as an option. You start setting boundaries that guard your peace. And those boundaries dissolve much of the anxiety that comes with dating uncertainty. Understanding that your time matters means recognizing that every moment you spend with someone who isn't fully present, committed, or respectful is a moment you're not investing in yourself. It means you're not obligated to wait around hoping for someone to step up or show up consistently. You realize that waiting is a choice, and a costly one when it comes to your emotional health. This awareness cuts through the common trap of overthinking. Instead of spending hours analyzing a vague text or wondering if someone's silence means something sinister, you become clear about what you will and won't accept. You understand that vague communication, ghosting, or inconsistent effort isn't just frustrating, it's a clear signal that this person isn't aligned with the level of respect and care you deserve. When your time matters, you no longer make excuses for people who waste it. You don't tell yourself, maybe he's just busy, or maybe he's having a hard week. While life happens, chronic inconsistency is a pattern, not an exception. And patterns reveal priorities. If someone can't prioritize you enough to communicate openly or honor your time, that's valuable information. Instead of clinging to hope or getting caught in the anxiety spiral, you recognize these moments as signs to recalibrate. That recalibration might mean scaling back your emotional investment, or it might mean walking away altogether. This mindset also transforms how you set your own boundaries. When you value your time, you become clear on what you're willing to tolerate. You say no to last-minute cancellations without rescheduling, to texts that go unanswered for days, and to conversations that feel one-sided. You start communicating your needs openly and expect them to be met, or at least respected. You don't settle for feeling uncertain or anxious about where you stand, because you know that your peace is non-negotiable. Interestingly, this clarity doesn't make you cold or unapproachable. On the contrary, it makes you more attractive because it signals self-respect and emotional maturity. People are drawn to those who know their worth and won't settle for less. You become magnetic, not because you're desperate for attention, but because you carry yourself with calm confidence. You stop chasing and start choosing, which naturally filters out anyone who isn't ready or willing to meet you where you are. When you carry the belief that your time matters, you also protect your emotional energy. Dating can be exhausting when you're constantly second-guessing and accommodating someone else's unpredictability. But once you respect your own schedule and feelings, you reduce the chaos and stress. You create a space where you can relax, enjoy the moment, and truly connect without the looming anxiety of uncertainty. Most importantly, understanding that your time matters empowers you to walk away when something isn't right. Walking away doesn't mean failure or rejection. It means you're protecting your future. You're choosing to invest your energy where it's reciprocated and valued. That freedom from attachment to outcomes creates emotional calm and resilience. You no longer stay stuck in confusion or false hope because you know that you deserve better and you're not afraid to seek it. Your time is your most precious currency, and when you treat it that way, everything about dating changes. I can leave is one of the most quietly powerful affirmations you can hold on to when navigating the often turbulent world of dating. So much anxiety and fear arise from the feeling of being trapped in a situation, trapped in emotions, trapped by the hope that if you just hang on a little longer, things might improve. But the truth is, no matter how emotionally invested you become, you always have the power to walk away. This isn't about dramatic exits or burning bridges. It's about reclaiming your agency and protecting your emotional well-being in a way that's calm, steady, and rooted in self-respect. Often, people stay in uncomfortable or unhealthy dating dynamics because they feel obligated, either to the other person or to the idea of giving things a chance. This can look like tolerating mixed signals, excusing inconsistency, or convincing yourself that if you just try harder, the relationship will blossom. That's the anxiety talking, trying to hold on to something that might never fully be yours. But when you embrace the belief I can leave, you dismantle that anxiety at its core. It shifts the internal dialogue from what if I lose him to what if I choose to leave and protect my peace. This mindset is liberating because it reminds you that you are never stuck in a situation that doesn't feel right. You're never forced to stay in a connection that drains you emotionally or compromises your self-worth. Having the ability to leave gives you a safety net. It means that no matter how confusing, frustrating, or painful things get, you have a clear option. You don't have to wait for closure from him. You don't need a perfect explanation for why you're walking away. You simply trust your feelings and intuition enough to know when something isn't serving you. This quiet strength helps you date from a place of calm confidence rather than desperation. When you know you can leave, you stop clinging to hope that things might magically improve or trying to fix what's broken. Instead, you assess the relationship realistically and choose what's best for you. This mindset also helps you avoid the trap of emotional blackmail or manipulation. If someone senses that you might stay no matter what, they can take advantage of your vulnerability. But when you carry the quiet power of I can leave, you become less susceptible to manipulation because your emotional boundaries are strong and clear. You're not afraid to hold your ground or say no. You don't need constant reassurance or validation to keep going. Your sense of self-worth comes from within, and that makes you resilient in the face of uncertainty or rejection. Knowing you can leave doesn't mean you approach dating with suspicion or cynicism. It means you approach it with wisdom and self-care. It means you're open to connection but not dependent on it. You don't settle for less than you deserve just because you fear being alone or losing the connection. You show up fully with your needs and boundaries clearly defined, knowing that if those aren't met, you have the power to step away without regret or guilt. This belief also transforms how you handle your emotions during dating. Instead of being overwhelmed by fear or anxiety about what might happen, you carry a steady calm. You're less reactive because you know you have options. You're less likely to make decisions out of desperation or panic. Instead, you respond thoughtfully, honor your feelings, and choose the path that preserves your peace and dignity. Ultimately, I can leave is a declaration of self-respect and personal power. It means you're in charge of your heart and your story. You don't wait for permission to exit a situation that doesn't feel right. You don't stay out of fear of loneliness or uncertainty. You understand that your emotional health matters more than any fleeting connection, and that sometimes the bravest and most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. That freedom creates space for the right people to come in, people who respect your boundaries, honor your time, and value you fully. It's not just about leaving. It's about making room for something better and knowing you have the strength to choose what's truly best for you. "This isn't personal" is a phrase that holds the power to completely transform your experience of dating and help you dissolve a lot of the anxiety and self-doubt that often comes with it. When we get caught up in dating, it's incredibly easy to internalize every action or reaction from the other person as a reflection of our own worth. If he doesn't reply quickly, we start asking ourselves what we did wrong. If he seems distant or cold, we wonder if we were too much or not enough. We spiral into self-questioning, assuming that every change in his behavior means there's something fundamentally wrong with us. But the reality is, most of the time, his actions have very little to do with you. People come into dating carrying their own fears, insecurities, and emotional baggage. Their behavior is often driven by their own limitations, not by your value as a person. Understanding this isn't personal means creating an emotional distance between his actions and your identity. It's about recognizing that the way someone behaves is a reflection of their own internal world and challenges, not a verdict on your lovability or worthiness. Maybe he ghosts because he's emotionally immature or scared of intimacy. Maybe he pulls away because he's not ready or is juggling too much in his life. Maybe he avoids commitment because he doesn't know how to be vulnerable. None of these reasons are about you. They are about him and where he is in his journey. When you hold this perspective, you stop carrying the weight of his behavior as proof of your flaws. You start to see his actions as information, not about your value, but about his readiness and compatibility. This shift is incredibly liberating because it frees you from the constant internal blame game and the exhausting cycle of self-criticism. Instead of asking, "What did I do wrong?" you can step back and ask, "What is this situation really telling me?" You begin to understand that rejection, distance, or confusion isn't always rejection of you. It can be redirection towards something better, or simply a sign that this person isn't capable of meeting you where you need to be met. This mindset helps you preserve your self-esteem in the face of disappointment and keeps your heart open rather than shutting down in defense. Accepting this isn't personal also helps you avoid taking responsibility for things beyond your control. It's common to try to fix or change someone else's behavior by overanalyzing your own actions or words, but that's a futile effort. You can only control your own choices and how you show up. When you accept that his actions are about him, you stop wasting energy trying to decode or fix things that aren't yours to fix. This leads to a healthier emotional balance and more realistic expectations in dating. Moreover, this perspective allows you to maintain compassion for both yourself and the other person. You can feel empathy for why he might be acting the way he is, without excusing behavior that doesn't serve you. You also hold kindness toward yourself, recognizing that his inability to meet you fully doesn't diminish your value or the love you deserve. This balance between compassion and boundaries is crucial for emotional health and for attracting relationships that are truly reciprocal. When you carry "this isn't personal" as a core belief, you create a protective space around your heart. You become less reactive to the ups and downs of dating because you don't tie your self-worth to every little interaction or outcome. You develop emotional resilience that allows you to stay grounded and centered even when things don't go as planned. This calm confidence is magnetic. It attracts people who are capable of showing up with clarity and respect while naturally filtering out those who aren't. Ultimately, "this isn't personal" frees you from the exhausting trap of self-doubt and emotional turmoil. It reminds you that someone else's inability to see your value or meet you with kindness and consistency is a reflection of their own limitations, not your shortcomings. This realization empowers you to move forward with grace, knowing your worth is inherent and not contingent on anyone else's approval or behavior. It's a powerful step toward dating with confidence, peace, and a heart wide open for the right connection. As we wrap this up, remember that dating anxiety doesn't have to control your experience or define your worth. These 3 simple words, "I am enough," "I choose him," and "let it unfold," are not just phrases. They are powerful tools to shift your mindset, reclaim your power, and bring calm into the chaos. When you truly believe you are enough, you stop chasing validation and start attracting authenticity. When you choose him, you step into your role as the decision maker, setting clear standards that honor your value. And when you let it unfold, you give yourself permission to trust the process, to be present, and to allow love to grow naturally without pressure or panic. Dating is not about perfection or control. It's about connection, self-respect, and patience. Carry these truths with you, and you'll find that calm isn't just possible. It becomes your new way of being in love and in life.